Today on Notsam Wrestling, Cody Rhodes qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. Finn Balor prepares to challenge CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title before WrestleMania. Liv Morgan is starting trouble. Booker T is back in the sheets. Title changes on AEW and so much more. This is Notsam Wrestling. Welcome to Notsam Wrestling. And on SmackDown, as of now, our third member of the Elimination Chamber, the third participant in that Elimination Chamber match, was announced after winning a triple threat match as the man himself, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes qualifies for the Elimination Chamber match. Of course, this story with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre and the World WWE Championship and Jacob Fatu and it's all been happening since, just about a month ago at this point, when Drew McIntyre beat Cody Rhodes on the first SmackDown in January. I want to say that was right around maybe a little over a month ago, when he beat him in that 3 stages of hell match because Jacob Fatu interfered and gave Drew McIntyre the opening to escape from that cage, and it was enough of an opening that, while Drew McIntyre's held the WWE Championship ever since, and I've got to tell you, I think it's still very possible. When it first happened, I said, this is a lot of fun. Drew is the champion. He'll probably lose the title before WrestleMania and will go into WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes, once again the defending champion. But I don't think that's happening. I think the way I see Drew McIntyre now, and look, we've still got, people talk about WrestleMania right now and whether, does it feel like the road to WrestleMania? Does it really feel like WrestleMania is in 2 months, more than 2 months? We have over 2 months still. WrestleMania starts April 18th. It's April 18th and 19th. At the time this podcast is going out to the world, it's February 16th. Okay? So we've got over 2 months. So if it doesn't feel like WrestleMania is tomorrow, it might be because WrestleMania is not tomorrow. But it does, right now. How do I feel right now? Right now, I feel as if Drew McIntyre will carry the WWE Championship into WrestleMania. And, it gets very complicated because the Elimination Chamber is in just under 2 weeks. But even then, the Elimination Chamber is the 28th of February? So that gives you still another 6 weeks before WrestleMania. There's a lot of television between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. So I don't think that anything is written in stone even after Elimination Chamber, because you've still got all of March and half of April to tell the stories that are going to take you into WrestleMania. And we already know it's going to be a busy TV season. We've got Roman Reigns, who I think it's 7. I think there are 7 Monday Night Raws between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. So the final, the first Monday night, from the first Monday Night Raw after Elimination Chamber to the final Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania is 7 Monday Night Raws. And I believe Roman Reigns is confirmed for 5 of those. I don't think anything is happening to the CM Punk Roman Reigns match. We'll get there, but I think that story is really going to be told after the Chamber PLE. Right now, we're looking at Drew McIntyre's title. And there are a lot of people who have a lot of ideas about where that title could be going. And some people looking at it as a very straightforward, Cody Drew, or add Jacob and Cody Drew Jacob. But there are still others looking at that chamber going, what if you pulled the trigger? What if a Trick Williams won that match? What if an LA Knight won that match? And what's intriguing about it is most years you would go, it's pretty obvious. Cody Rhodes is winning the Elimination Chamber. And I think Cody Rhodes is going to win the Elimination Chamber. But there is this seed of doubt because Drew McIntyre cut another promo on Friday on SmackDown saying that his one mission was to make sure that Cody Rhodes did not get to WrestleMania. He does not want to defend the WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And he's hell-bent on stopping that. He tried to stop it in the triple threat match. He did stop it at the Royal Rumble. In the triple threat match, he was trying to Drew McIntyre was trying to control too much. He was like Walter White on Breaking Bad when things got way too heavy. Because Walter was just trying to control absolutely everything and get as much of the glory as humanly possible. And it was too much. That's what Drew McIntyre was on SmackDown. Not just trying to cost Cody Rhodes the match, but also make sure that Jacob Fatu didn't win the match. And in the process, make sure that Sami Zayn won the match. It's too much. Too much to put on one man's plate because he gets in there. And while he's beating up Jacob, Cody's after him. And while he's beating up Cody, Jacob's after him. And it came down to, at one moment, Drew had Jacob out of the ring and Cody laid out, dragged Sami Zayn on top of Cody Rhodes, threw the referee in the ring. Now, look, no disqualification in a triple threat match, so it's all good. But Cody kicked out at 2. And when Sami Zayn was objecting to Drew McIntyre's presence, that's when Cody Rhodes was able to hit the crossroads and pin Sami Zayn. Cody Rhodes, and if you look at Cody Rhodes, if you look at WrestleMania 41 to SummerSlam, the match with John Cena, Cody Rhodes makes a mistake at WrestleMania, has to learn from that, and when he does, he beats John Cena at WrestleMania. At the beginning of January, Cody Rhodes made a mistake by objecting to Jacob Fatu interfering, even though Jacob Fatu was making it possible for Cody Rhodes to win that match. As a spirited competitor, he objected to Jacob Fatu interfering in his championship match. He wanted to win it on his own terms. And guess what happened? Jacob then turned around, started going after him. It allowed Drew McIntyre to win. Cody Rhodes, I believe, has learned from that moment. Sami Zayn has not, because this time, Drew McIntyre was the one that interfered. And he was literally interfering just to beat down Cody Rhodes. But it was Sami Zayn who took issue with it, even though he didn't have to. And when Sami Zayn was taking issue with it, that's when Cody Rhodes took advantage of it and pinned Sami Zayn 1, 2, 3 in order to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match, which leaves Jacob Fatu out of the Elimination Chamber. It leaves Cody Rhodes in the Elimination Chamber. And it leaves Sami Zayn. I mean, they've pulled stories of, I don't have a path to WrestleMania before, but Sami Zayn is in the place where he should not know where his career is at anymore. He's been given every opportunity, and he failed at him. Unlike Jey Uso, Sami is trying to walk that same path, but he's not successful. You know, a lot of people will tell you that they think Cody Rhodes needs to turn heel. Cody Rhodes does not need to turn heel. I mean, not everybody's going to love Cody Rhodes, and I think that that's fine. But I think Cody Rhodes evolving as a character is good. I like the fact that we're getting Cody Rhodes now that's a little bit more emotional, that feels a little bit more truthful with where he's coming from, that still stands on the same principles, but maybe has a little bit more of a ruthless streak in him, that he understands that he doesn't just get to sit on the throne, that he absolutely has to fight for it at every turn. But that still doesn't make him a villain. I think Sami Zayn is the one that needs to turn heel. Sami Zayn is the one that needs to change everything. And Sami Zayn can turn heel. Sami Zayn still has all the credibility of somebody that can be a main eventer. But I absolutely think that Sami Zayn is the one that we should be looking at as a heel. And whether you're going to apply that to if and when Kevin Owens is able to come back, whether you're going to apply that to if and when somebody like Seth Rollins is going to come back and Sami Zayn becomes an eventual opponent for him, whether you're going to apply that to a babyface winning the championship, whether you're going to apply that to Jacob Fatu having a great opponent in Sami Zayn, or you know, whatever it is. I don't think Drew McIntyre needs to turn babyface, and I don't think Cody Rhodes needs to turn heel. But we're left with an Elimination Chamber match, which is Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and LA Knight. Those are your 3 people in the match. Next week on SmackDown, you've got Trick Williams versus Damian Priest versus Carmelo Hayes, which is super fun because Damian Priest, he's in a similar position to Sami Zayn. You know, when they did that digital exclusive WWE of the golf cart taking the superstars away from the Royal Rumble. I don't know if you saw that on WWE's YouTube, but like Kairi Sane and Asuka were fantastic in it. Damian was like mumbling to himself about like all these new guys are coming in. I'm not getting the job done. I'm getting opportunities, but when am I going to get mine? Like he's playing the part of a character that wants to be back on top, but really he's got to take advantage of these opportunities. And I think that this could be another one that sets him back. For Damian Priest, I think, again, Damian Priest I would turn, but I would have Damian Priest, Zelina, and Aleister Black as a group together. I think that should be a tag team, Damian Priest and Aleister Black. But so I don't see Damian Priest winning. I think it's super fun that we're going to see Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes putting their hands on each other. I think for the first time since either one of them have been on the main roster. And having that sort of flashback to NXT and everything. I'm very much looking forward to that. But I want Trick Williams to win, and I think that he will. Trick Williams, talking about a guy who's making the most out of opportunities. Every time that guy shows up on screen, he's on fire. People love him. He comes across like an absolute gangbusters star. He can be a babyface. He can be a heel. That last year in NXT, when everybody said that he was ready to come up to the main roster, and honestly, he probably was, but the last year that he had in NXT, which was like post his NXT title run, where he was a heel, where he was TNA champion, where he was wrestling on both shows, it did wonders. Because that dude is so ready for this spotlight. That, if I were in a writer's room at WWE, not only would I put him in the chamber, but I would wait until, we were there and say, look, can we just discuss what if? What if Trick Williams won the chamber? Like, what if? I think you got to have that conversation about everybody right now. If you put Trick Williams in, what if? What if LA Knight won the chamber? What if we just did that? You could say the same thing for Randy Orton. What if now is the time for Randy? What if we just did it? I think that we're at a very unique place where WrestleMania, the way that we predicted it maybe in December, maybe in the beginning of January, has been turned completely on its head. First, because Drew McIntyre won the title. Second, because the match became Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. So now that that's there, it's like, oh, well, who knows what's going on with this WWE title? And as much as Cody, Jacob, Drew feels like the thing, what if we did that on the way to WrestleMania? What if we just turned everybody's heads? What if somebody else were getting the title match? And what if before WrestleMania we did that triple threat? What if we did a Super SmackDown where that triple threat match was on that episode of SmackDown? What if Drew had to win that triple threat before he gets to WrestleMania? And if Drew walks out with the title, now he goes on to WrestleMania against Trick Williams, against LA Knight, against any of them. What if? That's all it is. What if? And then we could sit here and go, what if they win the WWE title? What if? On Raw, you've got Gunther versus Dom versus Javon Evans. I absolutely think that Gunther is going to win that match. But what if? What if Gunther won the Elimination Chamber, What if Drew, and you've got an easy route to get there. Because Drew can easily sneak his way into the Elimination Chamber and Claymore Cody Rhodes. It's been done a million times before. There is no reason why Drew McIntyre can't get into that chamber, Claymore Cody Rhodes, and have any of those guys take advantage of it. What if? We're playing what if. What if Drew McIntyre snuck into the chamber, Claymored Cody Rhodes, and then Randy Orton was the one that pinned Cody Rhodes? And then we go to WrestleMania with whatever we go to. But there's this underlying thing where you go, Randy says, hey, man, it's just the rules of the match, just trying to get to WrestleMania like you, no harm, no foul. But now you're building this foundation for an eventual Randy-Cody match. And whether you do it at WrestleMania, whether you do it down the road, that becomes possible. When you're looking at it, okay, so if I've got Gunther winning that match and Trick Williams winning the SmackDown match, now you're looking at Cody, Randy, LA Knight, Gunther, and Trick Williams. There's a sixth spot in that Elimination Chamber, right? What if you put Obafemi in the chamber? We saw Obafemi on SmackDown, him and Kit Wilson chopping it up. What if Obafemi was in that chamber? Now people are going to be playing the what if game for Oba. How about the fact that Brock Lesnar is going to be on Monday Night Raw on the Monday before the Elimination Chamber? I think that's the 23rd. That was announced this week on WWE's social. to move tickets for that episode of Raw, the announcement was made that Brock Lesnar would be there in the house. Why would Brock Lesnar be on the Monday Night Raw before the Elimination Chamber PLE? What if you put Brock Lesnar in that match? What if it's Cody, Randy, LA Knight, Trick Williams, Gunther, and Brock Lesnar? Now what are you building to? You got Randy and Gunther, who it was pointed out to me on the radio this week. They have history at King of the Ring. I forgot about that. They have history with Gunther eliminating Randy Orton from the Royal Rumble. And Randy Orton is one of those guys who's deep into his 40s that Gunther is looking at going, it's time to get you out of here. I'm the career killer. And now you got legend killer versus career killer. And all Gunther has to do is look at Randy Orton once and say, what happens when the legend killer becomes the legend? That's it. That's all. And now, boom, we're off to the races. We got Randy versus Gunther. Like I just said, we could do Randy versus Cody. You could do, I mean, he's Randy Orton. You could put him in there with anybody. You got Brock Lesnar. You could have Brock Lesnar pin Gunther in the chamber. Now you got Gunther versus Brock. Brock is also on that list. Maybe Brock gets taken out on the way to the ring by Oba Femi because Brock eliminated Oba from the Royal Rumble. Maybe you're going to Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi. There's rumors online about LA Knight and Brock Lesnar being a match at WrestleMania. Maybe that's something that you start in the Elimination Chamber. Maybe LA Knight's about to win, but Brock Lesnar takes him out. Or hell, it's Brock Lesnar. Maybe Brock Lesnar just wins the whole Elimination Chamber. That's where we're at. Brock Lesnar could either win the whole Elimination Chamber or not be in it at all. Who knows? Who knows? In my mind, I think Cody wins it. I think Cody is fighting for the title at WrestleMania. I think that you could do a Cody versus Drew match. Straight up. I think you could add Jacob Fatu to the triple threat, but part of me goes, okay, let's see if over the course of 6 weeks, let's see. We've got the guy who is the top babyface in the company, Cody Rhodes, and we got a guy who's been fighting to be the top heel in the company for 2 years now, Drew McIntyre. So why shouldn't we be able to have a WrestleMania main event that's Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre? Let's let these guys tell the story. We got enough talent on that show that if by the time we get to WrestleMania, that's not where fan interest is, then we don't put them on last. But I think you try it out. You know, I think you could turn around. You could have Sami Zayn turn heel. You could go Sami Zayn versus Jacob Fatu. You could do Brock Lesnar versus Jacob Fatu. You could do Randy Orton versus Jacob Fatu. You could have another match for Jacob Fatu. And then you can go to the triple threat match at Backlash. You can have Jacob fight the winner at Backlash, whatever you want to do. I'm all aboard the Jacob Fatu train. But I'm also all ears for a singles Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre match at WrestleMania that has a story. That's the key. You have 6 weeks, 7 weeks, sell me on the story. Because it's there. When those two are on screen together, it's interesting. Going back to Saturday night's main event in December, it's interesting when those two are on screen together, and I get it. We've seen the match before. I get it. We saw it at WrestlePalooza. We saw it, I think, at another PLE. We saw it on that SmackDown, 3 Stages of Hell. I understand we've seen the match before, but this is a different deal. Show me what two of the biggest stars. You have 2 full-time giant stars, which is what we want as wrestling fans, right? The full-time stars getting the rub. So why can't you give me Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre? And by the way, because I'm feeling this way right now, I'm just going to say something that flashed into my mind. And I think it's very unrealistic. I don't think it can happen. I don't think it will happen, but I want it to happen. And they call this manifesting, okay? I want this to happen, okay? I'm just going to say it. It's been announced. Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be at WWE World for WrestleMania. He's going to be in town for WrestleMania. He's going to be doing signings at WWE World, the WrestleMania convention, okay? He's there for it. I've seen him recently. Stone Cold Steve Austin has never been out of shape a day in his life, I don't think, because he still looks exactly the same. 4 years ago at WrestleMania 38, he tore the house down with Kevin Owens. Tore the house down. You've got a guy in WWE right now who's called the career killer. A guy in the WWE who has said in interviews his motivation is taking out old guys that are trying to steal moments from other people that should be having them. He's trying to be an evolutionary force in professional wrestling that wipes out the people that are too old to still be around and leaves it open for people like him to declare it their own. Gunther ended the career of Goldberg. Gunther ended the career of John Cena. Gunther ended the career of AJ Styles. And there's all these names being thrown around with who could be next. Could it be Rey Mysterio? Could it be Brock Lesnar? Could it be Randy Orton? All I'm saying is, you tell me Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming back and he's coming back against Gunther? I mean, I pray to the wrestling gods. Do you know how unbelievable that would be? There are people, opiners in this wrestling world that will tell you, I don't know. Don't you think WrestleMania needs something? Don't you think WrestleMania needs something? I'm just saying, I don't know if it's possible. Can you imagine if, is all I'm saying. Gunther versus Stone Cold. It would be the biggest feather in the cap for Gunther yet if he goes to WrestleMania and beats Stone Cold Steve Austin in Stone Cold's last match. Stone Cold's last match was WrestleMania 18. But he came back. He came back to be the sheriff of Monday Night Raw. He came back to fight Kevin Owens. If he announces, I'm coming back to WrestleMania for one more round, and then Gunther responds to that, who do you think you are? You just show up here. We've been working all year. Who do you think you are? I'm going to embarrass you, Steve. You've made the biggest mistake of your life, Steve. He calls him Steve the whole time. And Stone Cold getting to hit back with Stone Cold promos? Do you have any idea how great a Stone Cold Steve Austin Gunther, and you could have two television segments. Give me Stone Cold Steve Austin on one episode of Raw on the way there. One in person. Hit me with them via satellite. Let Gunther talk to me about what's going to happen before then. And then the last episode of Raw before WrestleMania, Steve Austin and Gunther are face-to-face. No mystery stuff. We did that with Kevin Owens. We did that where Kevin Owens said, I'm going to call out Steve Austin. We did that. What's it going to be? Is it going to be a appearance? Is it going to be a match? What's it going to be? No. Straight up. Stone Cold Steve Austin says, I got one more round. Gunther responds to it. Build. Showdown before WrestleMania, and then boom. And that could be your last match of WrestleMania night one. Steve Austin versus Gunther. And I mean, you want to make Gunther a villain? You want to make Gunther a bad guy? Give him Stone Cold's last match. All right, I just wanted to put that out there. I just wanted to put it out there. I wanted to put the energy out there. I wanted to, so that on some level that conversation could continue. And maybe it does something and maybe it does nothing. But it's just something that I'd really like to see. Guys, we're going to get right back to it. But new year, new systems, right? This is the time where we all look at the messier parts of our businesses and we think there has to be a better way, and there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest and easiest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. It's easy. Calls, texts, voicemails, transcripts, and contact details all live in one clean view. With full context at your fingertips, your team communicates faster, stays aligned, and delivers a more personal experience. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/notsam. That's QUO.com/notsam. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. To see. We did see, and I talked about this earlier in the week on a Notsam Wrestling update. I talked about it on the SiriusXM radio show, Notsam Wrestling Live, but Finn Balor is officially challenging CM Punk at Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this is not a shock. You know, you figured Punk would have a match at the Elimination Chamber PLE. I mean, we were wildly speculating, who's to say? What if he defended his title in the chamber? But we knew this Finn Balor thing was on the horizon. It's built in. They had their match in Ireland. The next week, Finn Balor attacked CM Punk. The week after that was the confrontation between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. But before that confrontation happened, CM Punk talked directly down the barrel of that camera to Finn Balor. Now, the match was made for WrestleMania. The graphic came out. It is official, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. But Finn Balor hadn't gotten his pound of flesh. Finn Balor insisted on the match. And we're getting it. We're getting it at Elimination Chamber. And I had wondered, okay, what are you going to do to prove to me that this is worth watching? What are you going to do to make me feel like this isn't just a filler match on the way to WrestleMania, since we already know Roman Reigns and CM Punk is the match, and I don't see any possible way that they're changing that match? Well, I think the answer is tell a compelling story, and a compelling story that, regardless of the result, should have the outcome of Finn Balor's character being completely different after this match. This match, to me, is not about, I wonder if it's going to be Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns. Now, they gave you a little of that, and I think it was just enough when they said that Finn Balor brought up his match with Roman Reigns and the rope breaking and everything. Finn Balor brought up enough history with Roman Reigns that if we were arguing it, we could specifically say, no, there is a road. You can draw back to Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor, of course. But I think what we've got here is a match and a story that is going to be told to get Finn Balor to the next spot that he's going to. And I think it's going to be effective. I mean, when you think about it, Finn Balor said that he's tired of being overlooked. When a heel, a true bad guy, says they're tired of being overlooked, we don't even necessarily agree with that. We're usually the ones that they feel has been overlooking them. But, you know, when a heel says they've been overlooked, it's like, have you? I don't know, have you? But Finn Balor is telling a story that we've seen played out in front of our face. Finn Balor goes to Adam Pearce a few weeks ago and says, I'd like to be in the Royal Rumble match, please. So Finn Balor has this amazing match in Ireland. Finn Balor versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title, and it is so incredibly effective in the sense that it makes people remember how great Finn Balor is. And Finn Balor comes out of this match pretty much a babyface. And the reason he comes out he kind of walked into this match a babyface. Because in the build-up to this match, we all started talking about how much we low-key love Finn Balor. And that even though this version of his character has been a villain and this has happened and that has happened, that the reality is Finn Balor's been awesome for a very long time. So he has this match, and everything that we thought we knew about Finn Balor, it turns out, was true. He is awesome. And he reminded us how awesome he is. He reminded us about the Prince. And he reminded us about being the guy who put the Bullet Club on the map. And he reminded us about what a big deal it was when he came to NXT. And he reminded us about how important he was to that black and gold brand. And he reminded us about beating Seth Rollins at SummerSlam and becoming the first Universal Champion and never getting back to that spot, even though a lot of us thought that he should have gotten back to that spot. We were reminded of all of it. And in that moment, without him doing anything differently, without him saying anything differently, we cheer for him. And then he goes to Adam Pearce. The reason he attacks CM Punk, he goes to Adam Pearce. And he says, well, I'd like to be in the Royal Rumble. And all of us watching, as fans, we go, well, of course we think Finn Balor should be in the Royal Rumble. Did you see the match that he had? Did you see how good Balor was against CM Punk? I can't wait to see Balor in the Royal Rumble. And then Adam Pearce says the Royal Rumble is full. And we go, what? I have never heard anybody in my life say that the Royal Rumble is full. It's not a thing. But he says it's full. He didn't say, Finn Balor, you can't get in the Royal Rumble because you're not good enough. He didn't say, Finn Balor, you can't be in the Royal Rumble because you haven't earned a spot in the Royal Rumble. No. He said you can't get in the Royal Rumble because it's full. And if it wasn't full, maybe you could get in the Royal Rumble, but it is full, so you can't. Now, what are you going to do? And you go, well, that's annoying. You know what I mean? Like, that's like dealing with corporate BS. That's not even like wrestling. That's so irritating. But I think it's all by design. Because then he shows up on Monday Night Raw last week and he says, I'm going to the ring to challenge CM Punk. And Dominic Mysterio, his brother in the Judgment Day, says, I don't know, man. I kind of feel like they're pushing towards this CM Punk Roman Reigns thing. I kind of think it's all about Punk and Reigns right now. You know, I don't know if this is the right time. I think you kind of lost your opportunity. He didn't say, Finn, I don't think you can beat CM Punk. He didn't say, Finn, I don't think you deserve a title match. He said, I don't know. It seems like everybody's excited about Punk and Reigns, so that's it for you. Well, that's not right. That's bureaucracy. That's BS. That's being overlooked. Being overlooked for the Royal Rumble because it's full. Being overlooked by Dominic as a potential challenger to CM Punk because everybody's excited about Roman Reigns versus Punk at WrestleMania. Then he gets in the ring. He bombards Michael Cole. He goes, I know you're trying to interview this CM Punk, but I'm here to talk to CM Punk. I'm challenging you for a match. I want a match for the title. And then here comes Adam Pearce going, no. You can't have this match. We've known each other for too long for it to get complicated like this. But no, there's too much invested in the WrestleMania match. We're all looking to the WrestleMania match. We can't jeopardize our WrestleMania main event. He didn't say, Finn, you've got to earn a match. He didn't say, Finn, I don't think you deserve the match. He said, no, we got to protect the WrestleMania main event. It's bureaucracy. It's Finn being overlooked. It's corporate nonsense. It's not wrestling. And so then Finn Balor finally gets CM Punk to the point where CM Punk has to go, screw this. You got to do it. You got to do it. Now, Finn Balor is coming into this match with a chip on his shoulder. Finn Balor is coming into this match talking about being overlooked. In 2011, CM Punk was a heel, but he started talking about being overlooked. He started talking about not receiving opportunities that he should receive, not because he didn't deserve them, but because of corporate BS. And it made all of us CM Punk fans because we felt what he was saying. Some of us could relate to it if we have regular jobs, but we could all relate to the fact that it was BS. And we could all relate to the fact that this guy was telling us the truth. And we want to cheer for the guy who is telling us the truth. Finn Balor is in that exact same position as he is walking into the Elimination Chamber. All of the things that he is saying are true. It's also reassuring to know that they didn't just tell Finn Balor that the Royal Rumble was full because, you know, the writers or whatever couldn't think of anything else to say, so they just said it. It's all been leading to this. This is all part of the story of what is going to turn Finn Balor babyface. So for me, I don't think that Finn Balor is winning the championship. I don't think Finn Balor is winning the title at the Elimination Chamber PLE. I don't think Finn Balor is going to beat CM Punk. I don't think he's going to be put into a triple threat at WrestleMania. I think he's got a different path going to WrestleMania. Now, if this is the moment that Finn Balor turns babyface, as I said, I think it was last week, I don't think Dominic Mysterio is turning babyface. I think at the moment, and maybe it's because Dom and Liv were both off TV for a while. I think if Dom and Liv had both been on TV, like if Liv hadn't gotten injured and then Dom hadn't gotten injured right after, we'd probably be having a conversation where we're saying we have to turn Liv and Dom babyface. It's ridiculous now. But based on the fact that they were off TV, and based on the fact that people are seeing Finn Balor in this new way, I think there's only one direction to go. Finn Balor is a babyface and Dominic Mysterio as a heel. Now, I think for me, you could have Dominic Mysterio interfere in the title match. You could have Dominic Mysterio in Chicago cost Finn Balor the match. I don't love that outcome for a few reasons. Number one, I don't think people in Chicago are going to the United Center so they can see CM Punk win a match in a way that's not clean. I also don't think that if you're building CM Punk to be in a position where he's going to have the biggest match at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, you got to have him beat people on the way there. You don't want there to be any kind of shred of doubt as to whether or not he should be in the position that he's in. I also think that it makes Finn Balor a much bigger babyface if he loses clean than if he loses because of cheating. I think that if Finn Balor gives us another incredible match like he gave us at that Raw in Ireland, and then loses clean but shakes CM Punk's hand after, I think that does way more for Finn Balor than anybody coming in and interfering. Now, people will have a difference of opinion on that, and I think either way could work. But I think that doing it without interference, a clean loss, Rey Mysterio loses. I'm sorry, Finn Balor. I don't know why I said, because I said Dominic Mysterio. Finn Balor loses with honor and kind of, almost takes a bow. Like, okay, nope, you deserve to be the champion, and I appreciate the opportunity. That kind of thing. I think then the next Monday, everybody's going crazy for this Finn Balor. And that's when I think it's the move. I think that next Monday is when Finn Balor shows up. And Finn Balor does something similar to what he did the Monday after the Ireland match, but in a much bigger way. After the Ireland match, there was the confrontation, the interaction, I should say, between CM Punk and Finn Balor. And just respect handed both ways. And Liv Morgan didn't like that. And then, Finn ended up attacking CM Punk for a myriad of reasons. But I think this time, Finn Balor goes to the ring. Then he says, CM Punk, you've awakened something in me that I thought had been dormant for a long time. Finn Balor, CM Punk, you've brought out a new side of me. CM Punk has reminded me of who I am. And now that I know who I am, everybody's in trouble, but I couldn't have done that without CM Punk. So I thank you, CM Punk. And here come Liv and Dom. And Liv and Dom take umbrage with that. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean this happened because of CM Punk? What about us? You've learned more from CM Punk in 2 matches than you have with your family? Your family that's been by your side? We don't need a new Finn Balor. The Finn Balor we've had has been excellent. What are you talking about with this? And then cooler heads prevail. Everybody's okay. And just as they're walking out and you think everything's okay, boom, Dominic Mysterio hits Finn Balor with the Intercontinental belt. And now, as of the Raw after WrestleMania, the Raw after Elimination Chamber, you are on the road to WrestleMania. You are on the road to Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. And when Finn Balor was on Cody Rhodes' podcast, he was talking about the Demon and how it wasn't terribly well understood when he got to the main roster. Well, what if we brought that understanding back? Because if Finn Balor is a babyface and he's fighting Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental title, then for the first time since WrestleMania 39, what if we brought the Demon back? And it wasn't a Judgment Day Demon, and it wasn't Hell in a Cell. What if Finn Balor, can you imagine Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio? And then we get to see Dominic Mysterio's face when he realizes that the Demon, when he hears that boom, 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 that heartbeat and the smoke, and then the Demon rises from the smoke and Dominic Mysterio reacts to that. And Finn Balor goes to WrestleMania and he's the one that beats Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental title as the Demon. I love that. I love that story. I love it for Dominic. I love it for Finn. I love it for everybody. But, of course, the question coming off of that is, well, what about Liv Morgan? Where does that leave Liv Morgan? Now, Liv Morgan has been doing a great job on Raw and SmackDown of starting stuff with both champions, right? On Raw, Liv and Dom showed up, and they talked about why Stephanie Vaquer is afraid of Liv Morgan. And then just as Dominic is about to speak, he gets scared. He gets startled when the fireworks go off, and they speak in Spanish. And by the way, anybody that understands Spanish, I know a little bit, Dominic Mysterio did indeed have Liv Morgan's back in that in that altercation. with Stephanie Vaquer. But that puta word starts getting thrown around. People get slapped. It's a terrible scene. However, animosity is clearly there between Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. At the same time, night before Valentine's Day on SmackDown, Liv Morgan shows up with Dominic Mysterio and Raquel Rodriguez to watch Jordynne Grace challenge Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. And by the way, first of all, it was a great crowd watching SmackDown on Friday. Great crowd. I can't remember what town they were in, but whatever town, you guys were awesome. The pop that Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, and Raquel got when they came out, massive, massive. I specifically noticed it as I was watching on television. But they come out, they get this massive reaction. They get their table set up. Dominic Mysterio has those heart-shaped nugs, the old romantic that he is. And they're just chomping down on some chicken nuggets, drinking some beverages. Raquel's there. They're enjoying themselves. Jade Cargill gets the big dub over Jordynne Grace. And there were a lot of people who thought Jordynne Grace, this might be one of those surprise title switches. There were a lot of people wondering what is the future for Jade Cargill when it comes to WrestleMania. Because I think that myself and many others were really hoping that Bianca Belair was going to be the Jade Cargill match. That's the match that I would want to see at WrestleMania, Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. Now, you've got your Elimination Chamber match. You got Alexa Bliss in there. You got Tiffany Stratton in there. I think Rhea Ripley's in there. I think Charlotte's going to be competing for it next week. You're going to have a very star-studded women's Elimination Chamber match. But the most I've heard people come up with is if it's not going to be Bianca Belair. And I would love it to be Bianca Belair. I would love for next week on SmackDown, Bianca Belair shows up out of nowhere, gets herself in a qualifier, 2 weeks, whatever it is, wins maybe the Friday before the Chamber. Bianca Belair wins a last-minute qualifier and goes on to the Chamber, wins the Chamber, fights Jade Cargill. I'm all for Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. But if we're not going to see Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill, if that's not the match that we're going to see, what is the match, right? Because some would say, you could do Charlotte versus Jade Cargill, and that's true. But I don't think the WWE has been building up their tag division by accident. As a matter of fact, in my mind, for WrestleMania, I think that you should do a four-way or even a six-pack challenge, something, on the SmackDown before WrestleMania. You should do a multi-tag match to find out who the number one contenders are for the women's tag team championship at WrestleMania. And the match that I want to see for the women's tag team title at WrestleMania is Io, Rhea, Alexa, Charlotte. Four of the biggest stars ever in the women's division, duking it out for the women's tag team championship. I think you've been building that division so much, making such a concerted effort. Put the Bellas in there. Put the Kabukis in there, put Lyra and Bailey in there, but ultimately it's Charlotte and Alexa that win the multi-team match that brings them to WrestleMania where they face Io and Rhea for the title. So I don't have Charlotte or Alexa winning the Chamber. I also clearly don't have Rhea winning the Chamber. So what does that leave us? Maybe Tiffany Stratton winning the Chamber, right? I could see Tiffany Stratton winning the Chamber. She just came back. And I could see Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill as the potential WrestleMania match. But I believe we just saw it at SummerSlam. We've seen that's where Jade won the title, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I think we saw Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill at SummerSlam, or we've seen it recently. And I said, well, what can you do? Again, we're talking we're doing all this talk about mixing things up for WrestleMania. And so I just kind of sat with it. Now I'm just letting it spin and spin in my head like a top. And I came up with something that I just adore. And maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. But this is what I think. This is what I would love to see happen, okay? I would love to get to the Elimination Chamber and have Liv not picked an opponent. I think Tiffany Stratton should win the Elimination Chamber. And it feels like we're going to get maybe Stephanie and Liv, maybe Jade and Tiffany. But Liv is still, I haven't decided yet. I get first dibs. And so we get to SmackDown, just a random SmackDown. And by the way, you could do this before the Chamber. You could do it next week. You could do it the week after. That doesn't matter to me. On a SmackDown that is approaching, I think Liv can show up. I think Jade Cargill calls Liv Morgan out. I've had it with you. Coming out here every week, you don't even go here. Hit her with one of those. And say, we don't have to wait till WrestleMania, honey. I'll defend my title against you right now. You can do whatever you want come April, because I'm going to show you that I can beat you tonight. I'll put the title on the line right now. And that's when Liv gets a little bit scared, but pushes Raquel up. And Raquel looks at Liv and goes, what? And Liv goes, go, 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 go. And Raquel goes up, and Raquel, okay, fine, I'll go up. And it's now Raquel out of nowhere. No advertisement. No, coming up this week, coming up. No, we'll do this next week. In the moment, right there. Promo. Oh my gosh, Raquel is going to the ring. We're going to get a WWE Women's Championship match right now. Commercial break. Come back. Raquel Rodriguez versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Raquel wins the WWE Women's Championship. Jade Cargill can't believe it. Honestly, Liv Morgan can't believe it. She's kind of shook by the whole thing. We get to see on Monday Night Raw that Liv doesn't love that there's so much attention being paid to Raquel and the Women's Championship. But regardless, their destiny is going to get to be fulfilled. And that's what Raquel says to Liv. We can finally do it. We can do what we intended to do from the beginning. You were going to go for this one after you won the Rumble, and I was going to get the Women's World Championship. But now we just switch ski. I've got the WWE Women's. Now you go get Stephanie's belt. And Liv Morgan goes to the ring to declare. And Raquel is with her, and Stephanie is in the ring, and that's when Liv Morgan attacks Raquel. Liv Morgan attacks Raquel because she's jealous. Liv Morgan attacks Raquel because there's too much attention being paid to Raquel Rodriguez. And we go to WrestleMania with Raquel Rodriguez defending the WWE Women's Championship against Liv Morgan, which is a lot of fun because now you've also got all this new energy on SmackDown from people who weren't there before. At the same time, Tiffany Stratton won the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And where does that leave her? We now go to WrestleMania with a match that I don't think anybody saw coming, but people will be pretty excited about. Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Vaquer. And you can do it in a way where now that we know it's going to be Liv and Raquel, and they're going to be fighting for the WWE Women's Championship, well, now a lot of that's happening over on SmackDown. Tiffany shows up on Raw, and we build a Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Vaquer. And we build up how these are two of the most athletic women that have ever come into the WWE, and we build these are two of the most charismatic women that have ever come into the WWE, and you get this super match that you didn't even have in your head before all of this happened. So you end up with Dominic versus Demon Finn. You end up with Liv versus Raquel. You end up with Tiffany versus Stephanie Vaquer. You end up with Rhea and Io versus Charlotte and Alexa. To me, I don't see any losers there. Those are as of right now, but as I've said, WrestleMania is far away. Those are just matches that I had in my head this week. By the time we talk next week, it could all change. I feel like I should say something because I was talking a lot, every now and then. And my wife knows that I do this, and it really bothers her. She doesn't like that I do this. But every now and then I throw something out there on Twitter that I know it's going to make my app mentions a mess. I know it's going to start a whole thing, but I can't help myself. Every now and then, you guys know, if you follow me on Twitter, @NotSam, I don't post a bunch of takes on Twitter. I got 19 radio shows and podcasts to do all that on. You know what I mean? I do a wrestling show 4 days a week on SiriusXM. I do a morning show for everything that's not wrestling. I do the podcast for any time I want to sit down and really microanalyze something. We do emergency podcasts whenever we need to. Like, I have plenty of space to get my opinions out there in the best way that I see fit. But every now and then, I just like to drop a little bomb on Twitter and just see what happens. And I dropped one over the weekend. As it turns out, the Wrestling Observer newsletter awards went out. And look, and by the way, like, I want to preface this by saying a lot of people turned it. First of all, if you look at the replies to this tweet, a lot of people took it in a lot of different directions. But they do these awards, the Wrestling Observer does, and they've done them for many, many years. And they're voted on by the subscribers to the Wrestling Observer. So first of all, I'm not responding to these awards as a criticism to the Wrestling Observer. I don't have any problem with the Wrestling Observer, with Dave Meltzer, with Brian Alvarez. I'm a subscriber. I subscribe to the Wrestling Observer. So I have no problem with it. I also, there were other people that were like, well, these are fan voted, so you're disagreeing with the fans. I go, I know I'm disagreeing with the fans. I'm also a fan who has an opinion. I'm allowed to disagree with your opinion. Like, that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I just saw this tweet that said Booker T was voted worst commentator of the year. Let me pull out my response to it, actually. That he was voted, the worst commentator of the year, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter awards. Now, I will say that I think inherently I have a problem with this personally, because I don't think that anybody stands to benefit from having, like, worst anything awards. If you're going to do awards, I don't mind doing awards. I don't mind saying this is the best of the year, this is the best this of the year, this is the best that of the year. But to say this is the worst of the year, this is the most overrated of the year, like, just to give out awards for negativity's sake, it doesn't do anything but insult the people who are getting the award. It doesn't do anything for wrestling as a whole. It doesn't do anything for people's joy or the way they appreciate things. It just is another avenue to complain or crap on something, which, we do enough of. So I don't like, in general, awards where they're like, we give a trophy for the best, and then we also vote on who we hate, who's the worst. To borrow a phrase from Kit Wilson, it's very toxic. But they did 2025 Wrestling Observer newsletter worst television announcer. Number 1 was Booker T. Number 2, Pat McAfee. Number 3, Michael Cole. Number 4, Vic Joseph. Number 5, Tony Schiavone. Now, I mean, I have a problem with literally the entire list, okay? You're talking about Booker T, I'll get into. You're talking about Pat McAfee, who's just doing things his own way, who clearly Pat McAfee has changed sports broadcasting, whether you like him or not. He's changed sports broadcasting and has also, I think, Pat makes professional wrestling more something that people who don't watch every single week can get into because they feel like there's a voice there. Pat doesn't come at it like he's some guy who knows absolutely everything and every hold and everything. He's the guy in the booth that's a little bit more like you if you watch casually. And he's Pat McAfee, for God's sake. And then you have Michael Cole, Vic Joseph, and Tony Schiavone. Michael Cole and Tony Schiavone, two of the absolute legends in this game. That if you're even thinking about looking at becoming a wrestling commentator, you should be studying what Michael Cole and Tony Schiavone have done for years in their careers. And if you want to know what that can sound like now, what a newer take sounds like, then you look at Vic Joseph, who has, you watch these NXT shows, and not only is he introducing you to characters, not only is he telling you what's going on in these matches, but why they're impactful, but he's also bringing you through the entire television show, while Booker T is acting like a maniac next to him. Booker T acting like a maniac next to him, number 1, is one of the reasons why I love Booker T, but number 2 is one of the reasons that proves how good Vic Joseph is at what he's doing. I get it. I come from this world of broadcast, so I listen with a different ear, I suppose. But I mean, if you're listening to these shows, what's going on in that broadcast booth is absolutely insane, which is why, just in general, I don't think anybody who's on television should be voted worst wrestler of the year, overrated wrestler of the year, anybody, worst commentator of the year. Like, the worst commentator who's on television is so much better at talking about wrestling than 99.99% of the population. It's hard to even fathom. But Booker T especially, because, and listen, my problem was not with the award. My problem was not with the Observer. My problem was not with the Observer's subscribers. I know that Booker T is polarizing. I know that there are people out there that hate Booker T's commentary. I happen to not be one of those people. I like Booker T very, very much. And I like his commentary very, very much. It's not because I am nostalgic about his wrestling. He makes me laugh. He entertains me as I'm watching the show. I watch my kids watching the show, and they know how to respond to certain wrestlers because of what Booker T is saying. I like it. Yeah. Like, do you know how much that adds when you have somebody who in NXT, you're trying to introduce, you're trying to make people care about this person so that when he gets to the main roster, the audience isn't asking who? They're ready to have fun and be entertained and watch this person. That, to me, is why that is of value. I wrote, this is insane. Book, short for Booker T, is pure emotion, feelings, vibes. There's a list of NXT stars who came to the main roster with crowd response that have been guided by Booker T's NXT commentary. Wrestling equals feelings. That's Booker T. And Booker T is color commentary. He's adding color to Vic, who is not only doing play-by-play, but Vic is more doing the hardcore kind of analysis of what's going on, where Book is bringing emotion and feelings into what's going on. And I get that he's not everybody's cup of tea, but because he's doing things differently. But I'm going to tell you right now, just a short list. Stephanie Vaquer, every match that she has, once she puts people in her move, the Devil's Kiss, the audience either starts going 1, 2, 3, or they start going ah. It's a call and response. It is so valuable in the world of professional wrestling to have a call and response like that. That there are people who buy a ticket to go to a show, and one of the things they can't wait to do is watch Stephanie Vaquer hit her move and have them respond. And I have to believe that for a performer to know that she's got a signature move that the audience is going to pop for, it's just this unbelievable luxury. And that was guided by Booker T making it a thing. When Trick Williams shows up to SmackDown, whether it's in the United States of America, whether it's in Europe, whether it's wherever it is, whether he shows up in Saudi, and they're chanting, whoop that trick, whoop that trick. Many people, the vast majority of people are not doing that because they remember it was a basketball chant. They're not doing that because they saw the movie Hustle and Flow. They're not doing that because of that. They're doing it because it became a thing in NXT. And one of the reasons why it became a thing in NXT is because Book said, yeah, I like it. Yeah. It's fun. People were having fun with it. People are having fun with it to the point that there are some that feel like if Booker T is going to have a WrestleMania moment, they want Book. I'm sorry, if Trick Williams is going to have a WrestleMania moment, they want Book on commentary because they love that thing so much. Why do you think 2K26 added Booker T as a commentator on the game? Why? Because of the emotion that it brings to the characters that you're watching on television. I love Joe Hendry as NXT champion. I think Joe's great. I'm happy he's NXT champion. When he showed up on Tuesday with the NXT title, and I said, this is perfect. But you know one of the reasons why it was perfect? It's because, listen, and this is no slight to Joe Hendry, and I'm being very deliberate with the way that I word things, because these performers are getting over because they're great performers. It does not happen. Booker T is not taking nothing and turning it into, haha, you now anybody who has, if you're great, Booker T will bring that out. If you are great, Booker T will show the audience, look at that. And then the audience will go, oh, thanks, Book. Yeah, I am looking at that now. That is great. I love that wrestler. And that's the job. That's one of the jobs of a commentator. Joe Hendry, one of the reasons Joe Hendry is beloved is his entrance. People love that entrance. But it's the same entrance. People fell in love with that entrance in whenever it was, 2024. And it's the same entrance. Now, it doesn't feel stale to me. And by the way, he should not change the entrance. I love the entrance. The entrance has done so much. But Booker T singing along to that, and it's not a serious thing. It's not like you're taking away from anything. Booker T singing along to Joe Hendry's music, all of a sudden, which, by the way, Booker T used to hate Joe Hendry. But Booker T now all of a sudden singing along to that entrance music when he doesn't appear to know every single word. And he's singing along like your dad who's heard the thing that you're listening to and is now excited by it. Not because he knows every lyric, not because he knows who the bass player is of the band that you like, but because he feels it, because it's fun, because he's having fun, because he sees you having fun, and that makes him have fun. And even though you go, Dad, you know it makes everything better. You know it's great. You know you have a better time with it because of that. And that's what Book is doing. And I mean, the truth is that when he was doing it after Joe Hendry won the ladder match, when he was doing it, I was like, are you kind of taking away from Joe Hendry's moment? And then I was like, you know what? No, that's this thing in my brain that as somebody who has watched wrestling for decades, I go, I know what it is. I know what it's supposed to look like. I know what it's supposed to sound like. I know what it's supposed to be like. I don't want anything different. And so when there's something different, I go, I don't know if that's right. But then after the show, I'm going, I believe Joe Hendry. Wave your hands. Side to side to side. And I can't stop doing it. And I go, you know what? It's not taking away from anyone's moment. It's brilliant. Because now I've got this whole fresh look on this entrance that I already loved. But I know it. I know it, like the back of my hand. And at any point, I could decide as a fickle fan that I could turn on that entrance. But now I've got something new to add to it. So look, I'm not, my goal is not to sit there. If you don't like Booker T, you don't like Booker T. I don't care. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of professional wrestling. You're allowed to not like Booker T. But guess what? I do. That's my opinion on it. I do. And it doesn't, I love like the little brain folks that they go like this. Well, you have to say that. You're getting a check. And I go, yeah. That's what's going on. In Stamford, Connecticut, they're so concerned with the Wrestling Observer newsletter results that they go, Sam, we'll give you a nice bonus if you say something nice about Booker T. I go, oh, okay, well, I really don't feel that way, but okay, if I'll get the bonus, I'll do it. Meanwhile, I have other people tell me I'm paying to be on the shows. I don't know. Whatever argument, straw man argument you want to build in your head, go ahead and build it. But I'm telling you that as much as you're, as fans, allowed to say, I don't like something, I'm allowed to then say, I do like it. And then I'm going to come on my show. I'm going to say that too, because it's my show. It's my opinion. That's all that is. You know? And they'll go, well, fans are allowed to have their opinions. I'll go, yeah, I know. That's what I'm doing. You know, that's why I said that. So yeah, I think it's great. And I think that what Book is doing brings out the best in Vic. And I think that, Vic and Book are this amazing, unique commentary team. That's how I feel. if you feel differently, you can let me know. Feel free. Keep hitting me. And these replies, the engagement has been phenomenal. And at a point, like I'm looking at replies, and it's so funny. You know what I mean? Like I go, people, oh, well, you're just you're just a WWE show. You're just a WWE show. Then I read that Brian Alvarez from The Observer was also like, Booker T shouldn't be on this list. I mean, he took a shot at Vic, which I disagree with, but he said, which is fine. Again, he's allowed to have his opinion. I'm allowed to have mine. But I go, well, if Brian Alvarez agrees with me, what's your excuse for Brian Alvarez agreeing with me? I don't know. It's fun. It's fun. Wrestling's fun. Book's fun. Arguing's fun. So, find the tweet, reply to it, engage. It's all good. Speaking of being engaged, I think AEW has had a lot of people engaged in the last week, especially. Big things happening, and they were really smart to do a very newsworthy Dynamite leading into the big Sydney show, the big Australia show that happened on Saturday, the big Grand Slam Australia collision show. But on Dynamite, 11 days after winning the TNT Championship from Mark Briscoe in Tommaso Ciampa's first AEW match, Ciampa then lost it to Kyle Fletcher, which, it's not a surprise in the sense that Kyle Fletcher walking into Australia with an AEW championship makes a lot of sense. It is a surprise in the sense that you wouldn't expect somebody who wins the title in their first match to lose it after 11 days. But I don't think it's a, horrible burial of Ciampa in any way, shape, or form. If anything, I think a lot of effort has been made with Ciampa since he showed up to AEW. And I think that hopefully they see the potential in what they have with Ciampa. But what I'm hoping this leads to is Ciampa immediately having this character in AEW, immediately having this story in AEW where he's had a taste of gold. He had already named the TNT Championship Sylvie. He's now had a taste of holding gold. And that's like a dog with a bone. The last thing you want to do is take it away from him. Like Ciampa going absolutely crazy trying to get that title back from Kyle Fletcher now. He had an amazing ladder match with Mark Briscoe at the Grand Slam show. But now, I want to see Psycho Killer Ciampa trying to get that belt back. I want to see the Ciampa that we saw, in those wars with Johnny Gargano and Black and Gold. And I think that the idea that he had the title and lost it so quickly before he was able to do with it what he needed to do with it, don't let your mind take you anywhere it shouldn't. I think that should motivate Ciampa's character a lot. Then in the main event of the show, and I thought too, I was like, well, if they did the title change early, and the main event is Chris Statlander and Tekla, and it's a rematch, and it's a strap match, I was like, are they doing another title switch? And, wouldn't you know it? They did. They put the women's championship on Tekla. I thought that was a much more surprising move than the Ciampa move was. But also, I'm like a massive Tekla fan. I think Tekla is amazing. And I love that AEW is seeing the same thing in her that I see in her. I love that she's the champion. I hope she holds on to it. The whole faction works for me. But yeah, that was one of those moments where it's like I didn't see it coming. It makes it so that I go, oh, you know what? I really should pay attention to these championship matches. That most of the time, it's like, is the title going to switch every single time? No. But sometimes it will. And it did in 2 different cases. I think that taking that into the Grand Slam show where you had MJF and Brody King, they had a great match, great main event. MJF biting Brody King's knee. I'm glad that MJF won, clean for the most part. Like MJF hit his move and beat Brody King. I think that that's important for MJF as a wrestler, as a character. I am really hoping that MJF, because Hangman Page, of course, came out at the end, because Hangman Page beat Andrade, which is a little bit of a surprise, but they definitely did a lot to elevate Andrade on his way there. Hangman versus MJF should be really, really good. I think MJF will still win. They're going to do it at the Revolution pay-per-view. I think MJF will still win. But I think it's really important that, the MJF Hangman match be kind of the last sort of test for MJF. I feel like since winning the AEW title, MJF has been doing a lot to try to prove that he's worthy of it. And I don't think he has to. I don't want to see MJF defending the title at indie shows. I don't want to see MJF taking on all challengers. Now, look, maybe I'm wrong, because MJF having this whole set of people going after that title has brought eyeballs to AEW. So maybe it is the right move. But I really love when MJF tells stories that are deeply personal. When it's a one-on-one rivalry with somebody who deserves it. But like, I want to see MJF and Swerve, and I want them to tell a story over 6 to 8 weeks. You know, I want to see MJF and Kenny tell a story over 8 to 10 weeks. You know, and really have that be highlights of the show. And kind of elevate MJF to that spot that honestly that he was in 2019, that I think he can get back to easily. That is not only this guy, I mean, he's going to have great matches. At this point in his career, he's going to have great matches. He's going to look like a superstar. Nobody's going to doubt it. Nobody's going to deny it. But let's get back to the place where he's the guy telling the best stories too. Because I think he can. But that's what I really hope we see from MJF going forward. Kyle Fletcher, like I said, great ladder match against Mark Briscoe. You had Wheeler Utah getting shaved. I wasn't super shocked by that. I love that they're finding reasons to team up Orange Cassidy and Tony Storm. Part of me kind of wondered if Tony was just going to, because Tony Storm is nuts. And part of me wondered if Tony Storm was going to go bald just for the sake of like, man, people would be talking about this. And can you imagine the wigs that Tony Storm would wear? Part of me was like, for what we get on the other end of it, a bald Tony Storm would be amazing. But we get Wheeler Utah, Mox looking disappointed, but almost feeling bad for his little brother. So it's interesting to see how the Death Riders are going to evolve after that. And then, of course, we also got on that show, the Inspiration, not that show, but while they've been in Australia, the Inspiration, formerly the Iconics, signed to AEW. I think a good signing by AEW. It'll be interesting to see what they do in AEW. I mean, maybe do stuff with Harley Cameron. I mean, just because they lean so heavy into entertainment and they're so damn entertaining. I'm a big fan of both of them, of Jess McKay, of Cassie. Like, I think they're so great. I was so upset when they first got released from WWE. Like, I wish they were coming back to WWE, because I think an Iconics Kit Wilson group would be unbelievable. But we're not going to get it right now. We're going to get the Inspiration in AEW. But yeah, I mean, I would love, I mean, look, I think they'd be great authority figures in AEW. You know what I mean? Like something that is mic heavy, you know, and you know, wrestle every now and then. But like, they're just so good, man. They are so good. So I'm excited to see what happens for them. Of course, we also got Chelsea Green in a wheelchair, Kit Wilson and Obafemi. Both of those interactions on SmackDown I loved. And there's a video going around of some kids who broke into the old WWE headquarters. And look that up online if you can, because it's surreal to see how much of it is still there. And some of it, like, obviously some of it I would recognize from, you know, being around in there. But, like, some of it you recognize from, like, the Money in the Bank match, from, like, when Brock Lesnar invaded, from when Stone Cold did that bit in, like, 98. It's all still there. So it's really, really interesting. It's like it's a YouTube short. It's an Instagram reel. It's like a minute. It's interesting. Let's go to these emails. If you want to email Not Sam Wrestling, our email address is notsamwrestling@gmail.com. That's notsamwrestling@gmail.com. Toby writes in, do you think we could see a women's tag chamber this year? No. We've already got 2 chamber matches. We have a ton of teams that would be a great fit for it. Rhea and Ian. I mean, nobody. I mean, literally Rhea and Alexa, and I mean, they're already in a chamber match. So, no, I mean, yes, are there enough tag teams to put in a chamber match? Yes, but they've already announced the chamber match. You know, that's one of the rules. Watch the product. You got a number one rule. Watch the product, speculate wildly, and everything counts. Watch the product, dude. Camden. Hey, Sam, in my opinion, the WWE title scene for WrestleMania goes one of two ways. I like that. Triple threat, Jacob, Cody, Drew, then Randy with an Aleister Black or that, or a program for, or it'll be Cody and Drew singles with the stipulation and Randy and Jacob grudge match with the attacker Jacob story. Yeah, in my opinion, the second option with the two singles programs could be better if Cody was all along going to walk out of Mania with the title. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I absolutely, because I do, as the days go on, look, I like singles matches more than I like triple threat matches, because I think you can tell most of the time. There are always going to be exceptions, but most of the time, if you're telling a story, the story's going to be better with a one-on-one grudge that you're settling. I love the idea of Randy being the one that kicked Jacob Fatu's teeth down his throat. I love the idea of Randy Orton versus Jacob Fatu. So if that's where you're going to go. Go there, ride like the wind. I'm down. I'm 100% down. Ryan writes in, Sam, longtime listener from Wales. Love that. We got a Welsh listener. Love your positivity for wrestling and your recent interactions with Becky. Thank you. I was glad to see you come out, in defense of Booker after the Wrestling Observer Awards. I don't see how Booker being himself, which is a huge part of what people love about him as a wrestler, is suddenly a bad thing as a commentator. I don't think so either. He gives NXT a unique sound alongside Vic Joseph, who is also great at what he does. You only have to listen to the crowd chanting, at Stephanie Vaquer, or look at his obvious influence on Trick Williams to see proof that that he's great at what he does. Real examples of fans reacting to what he's doing and carrying over to the main roster. I wouldn't change a damn thing about him. He brings a smile to my face every week. I 100% agree. And I think, too, even when he comes out of pocket, because sometimes he'll come out of pocket, even when he comes out of pocket and he says, man, Josh Briggs needs to step it up, there are going to be cuts around here. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad at all. Because if Josh Briggs does step it up, he's not remotely buried, and that should be part of it, right? I think NXT as a brand should be looked at as a brand where superstars are only going to be here for a couple years, and then they're either going to go to the main roster or they ain't going to be here anymore. And that should be part of the thing. You know what I mean? There's no reason why that wouldn't be something that is in the mind of wrestlers. That you could absolutely... Now, it gets a little tough because if they actually do get cut, then it almost feels like a storyline. That sucks. But realistically, like if you're telling a story, it should be. They shouldn't just be like, I'm tired of losing because I want to be the champ. They should say, I'm tired of losing because I don't want to get cut. Blur that line, Let's see. Patrick from Jersey writes in, one in the air to my OPTC. I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I appreciate it so much. 5, 2. That's for you. My 6-year-old son loves to fantasy book, and this one was too good. I had to share. I love that. I've shared with you when my kids fantasy book. No one thinks Finn will win. How about he does? Schma's finish. However you want to book. Roman comes and distracts. Judgment Day distracts. Dealer's choice. Everyone is shocked. They changed the graphic for WrestleMania. Make everyone believe. Punk gets a rematch 2 weeks before Mania. Dom screws Finn because he's the only El Campeon in the Judgment Day. Punk wins. Back to Punk versus Roman. Finn is a babyface versus Dom at Mania. Like you said last week, surprise demon down the... Yeah. So listen, first of all, I love that your son is thinking in that direction at 6 years old. Makes me feel good about the next generation. The only thing is you don't want people falling in love with the idea of Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns only to switch it. I think you can get to the same result without putting the title on Finn and having him have a short run. And then it's almost like you were the champion and now you get this consolation prize of the Intercontinental title. That's the only reason why it's not for me. But coming from, if a 6-year-old told me that, I'd be like, yeah, that's a great idea. A 6-year-old coming up with that? Yeah, it works. Joe writes in, I hope all is well. Simple question. Even though she wasn't pinned, what was the point of having Julia in that triple threat? That title seems secondary to the number of tag matches she's been in since winning it. Well, I think the idea is that to not put Julia in contention for the Elimination Chamber would be, you could say it's because she's the U.S. champion or whatever, but I think the idea is that she's a threat, right? She could be in this match. She could be elevated to it. I think that's all. I don't think it's overthought, but I do think that the United States Championship needs some TLC, tender love and care, not tables, ladders, and chairs. I do think that a little bit more of an emphasis needs to be put on that title, for sure. I think Becky Lynch has done wonders for the women's Intercontinental title. I think that there does need to be more individual focus, to your point, put on the women's United States title. Gregory writes, with your massive influence, that's right, I don't think that's overstated, will you help get to the Wyatt MFT payoff on the actual show of WrestleMania? In the tradition of screwing Wyatts, I feel like this feud is destined for a SmackDown before Mania payoff. Look, yeah, I think they're building the MFTs clearly. I think that Tama Tonga getting the pin in the 10-man on SmackDown, I think having that match with Nakamura the week before, I think they're building Solo. I think they're building Tama. And I think Tala Tonga is going to be a big deal. I kind of feel like the MFTs already should have kind of beaten the Wyatts. Like, I want to see, I think these MFTs deserve a shot. And I feel like they haven't really gotten one. I think that you should have, Tama Tonga win that United States Championship. I think that you should have these guys slowly collecting titles to the point where you're like, oh my God, they're actually becoming a threat. You know what I mean? I think you should try to build the group personally. And I would love the payoff to come at WrestleMania. I mean, straight up Uncle Howdy versus Solo Sikoa. I think do like Uncle Howdy versus Solo Sikoa one-on-one in maybe some kind of lumberjack match or some kind of whatever, stip match. But ultimately, Solo Sikoa thumbs Uncle Howdy in the neck and pins him 1, 2, 3. I think Solo beats Uncle Howdy one-on-one in that match. Maybe smashes Uncle Howdy's lantern at the end. Now they're done with the MFT. They're done with the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six go off TV for a little while, rebuild. And then you move on with a strong MFTs. That's honestly what I would do. That's what I would pitch anyway. I don't know if but I'm practicing my pitches because I watch them on Unreal. So I know how to react. I know who everybody is. You know what I mean? Zach writes in from Illinois. Have you ever considered a Hater of the Week segment? I think it'd be hilarious to fully tap up how many times Megan Morant and Becky Lynch take home the gold. Well, yeah, that is the thing. Hater of the Week. I mean, this week, all you'd have to do is scroll through my @ mentions. I'd just find one of them who responded to my Booker T thing. But I would, even though I don't like negative awards, I would award a Hater of the Week. I think that might be worth doing. Megan would get a lot of them because Megan is a low-key hater. Big time. Chad writes in, let's see. I heard you might be in need of a ring. Okay. I don't know what that means, Chad. I don't need a wrestling ring. Brandon writes in, hey, Sam, my OPTZ1. Brendan here from South Africa. Ooh, truly, I am your biggest fan here. I acknowledge you always. I appreciate that, Brendan, more than you know. The fact that all the way out there in South Africa, I'm making any sort of, that anybody can even hear me there is unbelievable to me. So I really appreciate you, dude. You made my day. I have 2 things to ask you. The first thing is, would you ever be open to having a separate weekly episode of Notsam Wrestling where you only answer emails? I don't know. I might have a stroke or something. It might give me too much agita. I mean, I would. But the second thing, what if Cody Rhodes won the Elimination Chamber and then gets added to CM Punk versus Roman Reigns because Nick Aldis tells Cody he can't fight Drew because of the contract clause? What do you think? Well, I think you couldn't do it because of the contract clause, but I don't know. See, it'd be weird. It could happen, but you'd have to figure out, Cody Rhodes would just have to do it himself. I've decided I also want Roman's match. I also want the same thing Roman wants. I want the World Heavyweight Championship. I want CM Punk's belt. But you'd have to figure out a reason why Cody is going for that belt instead of the belt that he lost and why he's not going after Drew McIntyre. Because the idea that he doesn't get a rematch, even if he wins the Elimination Chamber, I don't think you can write contracts that powerful. Mike writes in, hey, I agree that Finn Balor should lose clean to CM Punk. Great. The next step for Punk, in my opinion, should be a couple of weeks later, Dom making some sort of sideways comment and Finn clocking it. Oh. Finn can then say, maybe I didn't beat Punk, but I can sure beat you. This can cause the split in the Judgment Day. Yeah, I mean, you could even throw in JD McDonough as the special ref. I think we both want the same result. let's go to, okay, last email, okay? This is coming from, okay, who is, I don't know, Master. Who is the mask guy who came to the Royal Rumble and attacked Braun Breaker and then came to Raw to attack Austin Theory? What's going on? Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a great question, especially because on Raw, we got so many clues. You know, we know it's not Logan Paul now. We know it's not Adam Pearce. We know it's not, I mean, some people think it's Braun Breaker. It's not Braun Breaker. He is the one who got attacked first. Some people think it's Bad Bunny now. I would love if it was Bad Bunny. I don't think it's Bad Bunny. I mean, I guess I think that the ultimate thing is going to be it is indeed Seth Rollins. I hope that at this point, I hope it's Seth Rollins. Today, if you ask me, I hope it's Seth Rollins. That's where I'm going to leave it. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast everywhere you get audio podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get them. Also, of course, video, youtube.com/Notsam Wrestling. We're putting stuff up all the time. So make sure you're in on that. We will see you very soon here on Notsam Wrestling. Have a good one.